All right, welcome back. We are going to look at government and the economy. And this is our notes entry for section 8.2. We're going to look at the four roles of government today. And the first role of government is that they're going to provide public goods for us. These can be consumed by anyone. These are your street lights, your libraries, your highways. And these are important to us because these are goods that we can use over and over again. These are paid for by taxes, where you guys have a federal income tax, you have a tax, you got sales tax, you got taxes in a lot of different ways that you guys never even thought about it. And private goods, which is the exclusion principle, which can only be used by the person who pays for it. They are private goods or public goods are two different things. So your public goods can be consumed by everyone, and your private goods can only be consumed by the person who pays for it. So you do start to see your difference there in your types of goods. Second role of government, role number 2, deals with externalities. We talked about this in class, but this is the unintended side effect of an action. The example is bonus money in sales and retail stores. Positive, good roads equal cheaper transportation costs, equals you guys can get from point A to B, which means the better shape the roads are in, the cheaper you're going to pay for your goods, which is a positive effect for you. The negative effect is if you guys are ever driving down 70 or 40 at night, you guys can see the billowing of smoke coming out of these big industries, which give us our jobs, and this, of course, is not good for the environment. So you do get jobs, but on the bad side is it does sort of ruin the environment around you. The number 3 role of government is that they're going to maintain competitions. They do not want monopolies unless you're playing a board game, which is a different story. You do have antitrust laws, and these are laws that are going to try to ensure that we don't have a lot of monopolies. The Sherman Antitrust Act gave government power to break up monopolies, and the Clayton Act is in there to help out with price gouging and legal support to end strikes. So the Clayton Act is going to sit there and help you out in case in times of, back when I was growing up, we had Hurricane Hugo that came around, and Killian's Hardware got in trouble for lifting the price or upping the price on all their goods overnight when the power went out, and they doubled the price on it, the generators which they had, which got Killian's Hardware in trouble for price gouging. Mergers can't happen if they produce a monopoly. This has an example of Office Max and Staples. I would also like to use examples of the cell phone companies. Cell phone companies have to be careful because with more competition, the consumer actually gets lower prices. But if you get rid of all of those competition factors, then the price of cell phones go up. So the more cell phone companies that are out there, that's usually when you see your battles where your cell phone prices keep going lower and lower. But when you don't have as many major cell phone companies out in the market, that's when you see a direct increase in your price for your cell phone prices. Role number 4 is that they regulate market activity. There are some monopolies, and this is natural monopolies. These are a single firm which produces product with government regulation. The number one thing that you guys can all think about this is everybody in this area has the same energy provider, which is Duke Energy. We all get our energy from the same provider, but they do give up their ability for tax increase, and they have to be subject to government regulation. If they want to increase their rates, they have to go through the federal or the state government in order to do so. The government also, by regulating market activity, makes sure there's truth in advertising and product labels, such as the FDA, which considers the purity of food, which is a very good thing. Talk to Dixon when you get to the hot dog lessons. FTC, false advertising. You're seeing this a lot with organic foods right now. Organic foods are not subject to the same labels that other food is, so they might be a mislabel on whether or not that food is actually organic or not. And you also have health warnings to make sure that you are at risk, such as peanut warnings, such as this food may contain peanuts. In case you have a peanut allergy, you may not want to consume it. Product safety, in case something is not right, you want to recall the product to make sure it's correct. This happens a lot with cars. Cars sometimes aren't necessarily in the best shape, or there's something going wrong. Jeeps came around a couple years ago. They had an issue where they were blowing up, and not in a good way. So their whole gas tanks were blowing up. And then every 3 months or so, the new baby crib that just came out, which is perfect, will probably be recalled because there was some kid did something crazy, because kids are kids and it stinks, but that kid, something happened to them and they're going to recall the crib. We measure the economy. This is key. with GDP, the value of all goods and services produced in a year. Gross domestic product. The real GDP is all price distortions have been removed. This means like if things go, how gas goes up and down. So we just cover it all, and that's what we go with. The unemployment rate is the percent of labor force who are not working, but they are looking for jobs. There's a couple key words here. So this is a percentage of people that are not employed at the time period, but they have to be currently looking for a job to be considered in the unemployment category. Fiscal policy is the government changes or tax policies. This is what we talk about where they come up with an idea of fiscal. Anytime you see the word fiscal, you might as well just come up with money. Inflation, increases in prices. We all know that there's certain products, right here, the CPI, Consumer Price Index, prices over 400 products monthly, and by doing so, you do see how there's an increase in certain prices, and there's a decrease in certain. There's very rarely a decrease. Let's be honest. There's usually an increase in prices, and this has led to inflation, which means that over time, things cost more in the future than what they do in the past, and this is why your grandfather can tell you how he bought a gallon of milk for a penny or 2 pennies, or loaf of bread was a quarter, and brand new cars were $2,000, and now they're up a little bit higher because due to the rate of inflation, the price of goods and services go up. The economy that we have in today's cycle is all through a business cycle. So business cycle is a key word right here. It's a roller coaster. You can see how it has your peaks and troughs. Your peaks are when it's doing well, new businesses are open, people have jobs, it's prosperity, everybody's happy. A contraction, a recession is when inflation keeps going up. We have an unemployment time period. The jobs aren't out there like they're supposed to be. The money's tight, and these are the bad times. A trough is the depression. I use my thing that talks about how one way that we measured recession was unemployment rate was between 7 and 10%, and depression was 10% higher. That's one way to measure it. The other way to measure it is 6 months or more of a decrease in the GDP. Expansion is when the GDP begins to increase. So expansion is this little area right here, and it's when the GDP and the business cycle starts to grow back up. This is when we start going back up to the peak and valleys. We are hopefully somewhere right around here right now. So some of these guys some people are starting to get jobs back, but not maybe like what they want to, but they're seeing a possibility in the near future. Thank you guys for listening. I hope this helps explain the business cycles and the functions of the government. And on to the next one.